So this is my home bike workshop, which I've used for the last year and a half to restore and service my bikes. And today I thought I'd give you a full tour of everything in here. The whole square footage area of it is probably about 60 square feet. Really small, but it's really useful for what I use it for, and today I thought I'd give you a full tour of how it works. So a little backstory on this space. When I first started working down here, it was just that white table that I had to work at. And about a year and a half ago, I decided to install this sort of large workbench space, which is divided into two halves. So one half is where my sister has her ceramic stuff, and the other half is where I have my bike stuff. So starting in this one corner are my actual bikes themselves, or at least the bikes that I ride most frequently. Alright, here's my 2016 Marinoni, sort of my everyday road bike. Here's my sort of late 80s, early 90s Nishiki Colorado, which I've been converting into a gravel build. And then behind this is my 1983 Eaton Road King, which I've sort of converted into just like a quick city runner. Now above the bikes I actually have this sort of red chain thing, which is for a white backdrop, which I can drop down in front of this whole space for photos and that sort of thing. And then around here is where I have my actual bike stand. So when I'm not using it, I can actually just tuck it up and put it in this corner over here. But I find for the majority of the time, I just keep it out unless I need to get to these cupboards more frequently, which inside here are mostly just paints and other cleaning oil, solvents, that sort of thing. So a little bit of automotive, a little bit of bike here and there as well. Getting into the actual built workspace now, it was quite inexpensive actually. It's just built out of 2x4 and 2x3 lumber, and then for the tabletop itself, it's actually repurposed OSB subfloor. So those 2 foot by 2 foot squares I just cut down. They're tongue and groove here so they fit nicely, and then just coated the entire top with a varathane coating. On the right side here, it's actually built around to cover an electrical box, which is why I have this just white painted bulletin board. I don't use it as much as I thought I would. I come from the world of architecture where we use that sort of thing all the time, but didn't end up using it in this case, but it does work well to cover up the electrical panel behind. Hanging up, I just have some ski straps. I don't ski that often, but they are really useful for tying things down on my bike, so that's what I use them for mostly. Below that, I have this charging station where right now I have 2 drill batteries and 2 camera batteries charging, all connected to this power bar here so I can quickly turn off power to the chargers. Underneath the bulletin board, I just have a shelf here with some different hardware, my Craig pocket hole jig, drill bits, hardware and screws, that sort of thing. Next to the charging station here, I have some readily available shop towels as well as storage for some toolboxes. I tend to keep my things organized in a way so each toolbox is consolidated to a specific use. So for example, this is some general cycling accessories, little parts, hardware, things like that. Little things you take out riding with you if you ever need, just little odds and ends here and there. Next to that is my electrical toolbox. Anything for small electronics go in here. Tape, lighter, multimeter, wire strippers, solder, that sort of thing. And these 2 drill bags here, one of them is just sort of a basic grab and go toolbox with a little bit of everything, some drill bits, tape measure, screwdriver, small hammer, that sort of thing. And this other bag back here I mostly keep for sanding materials. This toolbox at the bottom here is one I actually appreciate the most. I keep it empty most of the time because it has these containers in here that I find really useful for keeping parts. So I always keep these empty and they're just there waiting for me until I start a project. And then as I disassemble a bike or something like that, I can keep all these parts in these empty containers just waiting there for me. And this is double-sided as well, so there's other little cubbies in here for consolidated parts on a specific project. When the time comes, that will be filled with a specific set of parts. So underneath this portion of the workbench, I have some shelves here to store little things, a box of just used and recycled bike parts, electronics, drills there, some camera gear, some camping gear, some car stuff, a little bit of everything. And then over here I have hanging is my torque wrench. So most of the things under this area I don't really use that much. However, next to that I have these rolling clear drawers which get a lot more use. So right now I just have some panniers sitting on them. Top drawer, it's mostly camera gear. Underneath that is some drafting stuff. Beneath that are biking parts and consumables. So I have oils and lubes, seat posts, some cleaners, spare parts, spare tubes back there. And then in this very bottom drawer, the heaviest one, I just keep old parts that I keep around in case I ever need them, but they're not really good parts that I would want to use on anything. And I can also roll this whole cabinet out and use it as sort of a bench. If I'm working on a bike here, I can roll it out and set parts on, which does come in handy. Moving back up to the top of the workbench is a clear spot to stand and work. I also have an overhead light. You pull the chain and you get nice even lighting for whatever you're working on. If you're wondering why I keep everything in a toolbox and not on a tool wall, it's because I don't really have a wall to build a tool wall. I have the window above here, so I can't use that. And this panel up here has to be easily removable to get to the electrical box behind, so it can't be too heavy. The one advantage to not having a tool wall and keeping everything in toolboxes instead is that it's all portable, so if I ever need, I can just grab a toolbox and go, depending what I need. This one I like to keep as more just my cycling toolbox, so all my cycling stuff goes in here. Allen key sets, sockets, grease, more Allen keys, things like that. Then underneath, some pliers, chain grips, stuff for doing a brake bleed, and just other miscellaneous bike tools. Over to this side I have a set of screwdrivers, blank sketchbooks, user manuals and documentation, and then just a little drawer set with small bits of hardware. Every once in a while you need to pull something from here. And then above that, pens and pencils, wood glue, and hand sanitizer, which I've actually used works quite well. So you sort of use a gel to clean parts with alcohol. And then this big toolbox here is more my automotive toolbox. So less biking stuff, but still things I use occasionally. Wrenches, sockets. Up here I have things for bodywork, polish, epoxy, fiberglass, that sort of thing. In the drawers below it, this top drawer is reserved for pliers and grips, wrenches, that sort of thing. Below here are my metric and imperial ratcheting wrenches, which are really handy for getting in tight spaces on a bike or a car. And then the very bottom drawer are my metric and imperial, just standard wrenches. Now moving below this, I built this shelf here to be specifically the same height as the table I work at. In the future I would like to get some drawers and put in here, but for now this is really just a catch-all for just anything bulky. So helmets, cleaning supplies, hard hats, I don't know what else I've got in there, just random things, but hopefully that can be better organized in the future. And then below that, I have my toolbox with more construction things, hammers, saws, multi-tools, that sort of thing. Next to that is my Stanley socket set. And then next to that, stuff I need to access least at the time, random things that have nowhere else to go. And I also have a power bar routed underneath so I can power tools and whatnot while I'm working at the desk. So at this green cutting mat is sort of where I do most of my work. The workbench space is only about 20 inches deep. You can get some small things done here and stand, but majority you can sit and have a bigger space. So there it is, a full overview of my entire workspace. Obviously it's not perfect, things like this are always sort of a work in progress and constantly evolving, but I hope you found it interesting if you're looking to do something like this yourself. Hopefully a video soon will be sort of an overview of all my bikes in general, so if that does come along, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.